If you read the history about who King Herod was, he really was a very evil man. Very sick, very twisted, very perverted. He regularly would practice with child prostitution. He really was a very, very twisted man. Aside from the biblical account that we know that he had taken his brother's wife as his own, that he ultimately would have his hands caught up in the death of Jesus, he was a very twisted man. And yet we hear today in our gospel passage this inquiry about the Lord, and even the last line that he kept trying to see him. This is the same Herod who, of course, had beheaded John the Baptist, who we have gloriously here in our altar. And even in his relationship with John the Baptist, if we remember from the text, there is this, he liked to hear him, but it perplexed him. I think it speaks very much so to what we truly do believe about the truth, that it is universal, that it speaks to all people, and that everyone, written in their hearts, is this longing for God. Written in our hearts is this desire for God. And thus the words of St. Augustine, our hearts are restless until they rest in you, O Lord. And we know that. Even those who are caught in the deepest of sins, even those who are shackled by the deepest of addictions, know that there is something else. And thus, even in King Herod, we have today, and he kept trying to see him. Here you are, the king, and you're concerned about some itinerant preacher, and you long to see this man born in poverty, this man who has no place to rest his head, and yet you seem to have everything. Although Herod did not convert prior to his death, at least as far as we know, this yearning in his heart should clearly give us hope and a deeper insight into humanity itself. That those we know in our lives that are caught in sin, that are far from the church, that are far from God, that there is always hope. That longing that they have, that desire that they have is real, is true. Herod did have the opportunity at the end of Jesus' life. He had Jesus in his very midst. And if we remember from the text that Jesus has not even opened his eyes when he is on trial with Herod. But nonetheless, let's pray today that longing that Herod wanted to see him, that we may be instruments, that we may be witnesses to those who live lifestyles of Herod, that there may be conversion, that we never lose hope. We may pray that their longing to see him, their longing to see Christ, may one day be fulfilled here on earth before their death, here on earth before their judgment, and God willing, they will see them one day in heaven.